Hi guys, sorry. So my name is Ronnie. I'm an Israeli, 44 years old, living in Tel Aviv, 2 kids, a wife. And I'm a graphic designer. I'm teaching at Shankar School of Design and Engineering, mostly visual communication and the first grades, and the part that they're trying to transform ideas into visual. So that's my specialty. 2012, I was in my house, Facebook user. Netanyahu went to the United States and gave the talk about the nuclear duck. You remember this one? Whatever. One of them. And at that time, I was really, really sure that, okay, we're going to have a war with Iran. So as a graphic designer, I always do what graphic designers do. I make a poster. So I make this one, Iranian. We will never bomb your country. We love you. And I post it on my Facebook page. And my friends told me instantly that it was stupid and childish. And the heart, it's not working. But that's the Israeli way of saying we're tough. Few hours later, people respond to that first poster, and I'm going to make it really short, but in a matter of few weeks, it became a huge conversation between Iranian and Israeli, which never happened before in Israel, at least in recent days. So we started having this long conversation with friends from Tehran, Shiraz, all these places in Iran. Friends of me asked me to use their picture and to send it like this, like the other picture. This one is my wife. But we have a lot of other stories and pictures. And at some point, we opened a page called Israel Loves Iran, where all the people behind these stories came and talked together. Few weeks later, we try another campaign, and instead of saying we will never bomb your country, we say something like it's more of the same, which is not ready to die in a war. At that time, we were having a lot of pictures coming from Iran, young people with their faces, which was kind of a first in Israel for young. It was the first time for us to realize that the Iranian, they're not just Ahmadinejad or the one we see on the news, but also nice young dudes. Like this one is Anushiravan. I'm like a good friend of him now. He's actually the lead singer of a metallic band in Tehran, and it's horrible music. You can check it online. It's called Flame Candle, something like that. Oh my God. But whatever, after making all those connections, we were having so much hits on that page that at that time, on that Facebook page only, we were having something around 2 million views a week, unique visitors coming to that page. So that's the time that we understand that we were really doing something that kind of changing things. A friend of mine at that time told me, you should Google Iran and see what is the first image. And the one on the left at that time, 2012, when you were Googling Iran or Israel, was the first hit for Google Images, which is when we realized that we were really having an impact because we were changing how Google, which is the word, seeing us. So that's when we really decide to go further with that project, and we create what we call today the Peace Factory. We did lot of projects like this one. We ask for people in Iran to send us their picture, and we ask their permission to put it on buses here in Tel Aviv. So for 3 weeks, on 70 buses in all the Tel Aviv area, we run these buses, which was really nice and funny, having faces of Iranian and Israelis saying we love each other, just for the fun of it. We didn't sell nothing. Obviously, at some point I met Juju, and she will told you about the page called Palestine Love Israel, but the whole Peace Factory is divided in a lot of pages, like Israel loves Iran, Iran loves Israel, Palestine loves Israel, Israel of Palestine, Lebanon love, everybody's loving everybody. We even have a page called the Ukraine love Russia, which is a lie, but we have the page. But there are only few pages that are really working and pushing the message. And the kind of story we have behind these pages is the one on the right. It's a real story from last war in Israel, between Israel and the Gaza Strip. And so it's a story about an Israeli who talked to a friend in Jenin, a Palestinian, and she tell her, if you're afraid about the rockets coming to Israel, come to my house in Jenin. Which is, it's amazing how, it sounds crazy, but it's really the connection that we're creating. It shows you the power of the connection we're creating just using Facebook. These are some of the projects. I'm going to jump into what I really like and what's the bottom line to me of the Peace Factory, and then Juju will give her side. For me, the power of this project is using social media to create connection. My analysis is that the main problem here is that people don't talk to each other. Most of Israeli, I don't know how many Israeli, you kind of special because you're the good guys. But most of Israeli in Israel don't have any friends who is an Arab or who is a Palestinian that lives in the Gaza Strip, that lives in the West Bank. Most of Palestinians don't have any friends, never have met an Israeli. They don't know how they look. They know how soldier looks, and they know maybe settlers that they have maybe met. But so that's the only reality both sides know, and most of Israeli, even the one who wants peace, don't have a friend from the other side to talk to. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create that one connection. So I would be really happy if every Israeli would have one Palestinian friend on Facebook. And that's it. And that would be job done from me. One Iranian friend, one Palestinian would have one Israeli friend, and they could talk and they could share some stuff. You don't have to really be friends. You just have to talk sometimes, and maybe from that friendship, something good can happen. So we're using Facebook to create those projects when we will go on the page and we will say, hey, this is Shirin. She's from Tehran. She's from Ramallah. She's from wherever. Who wants to be a friend? And in the comments, people will say, me, 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 me. And then we will connect them. We will just send Shirin all those links, and she can send friend requests. We're also making project like, I'm going to jump to this one and come back later to like this one, where we're connecting people like manually. We will ask who wants to try to get a friend from Iran, from Israel, and every person that say yes, we take one Israeli, one Palestinian, and we open a chat message on Facebook, and we put both of them in the message with me, and we send them to become friends. And after 1 week, we say, are you friend now? I mean, without me? Are you talking on private messages, or did you take that to another level? And most of the story are that people do become friends and stay friends. Once they're friends on Facebook, they're really staying friends. So that's like in a nutshell what we do at the Peace Factory. And now I will let Juju talk a bit.
Put that down, I'm so short. So, hi everybody, I'm Juju. I was introduced already. I'm German-Palestinian. My grandparents came from Israel, from Palestine, and fled during the Nakba to first Lebanon and then Germany. So the first time I came to Israel was 3 years ago, and since then I come every year to visit Ronnie, my first and best Israeli friend. So I want to tell you my friendship story today, because obviously this whole project, the Peace Factory, is all about friendships. And the story of our friendship is really unique, because I met Ronnie on the page Israel Loves Iran. And it was funny how it happened, because actually I usually Google the news from the Middle East, because all my family is living in the Middle East. And of course, everybody who has family in the Middle East is concerned about the news. So I have this Google News alert. And the news that you usually get from the Middle East are terrible. War, terror, trouble. And once I just came over the headline, Israel loves Iran. What? And then I came to the Facebook page, and we started to communicate, me and Ronnie and his wife, Michal. And we talked about few days and told each other our stories, our family history, and really became friends on Facebook. You know how that happens on Facebook. It really, you sometimes get this connection and you just chat, and then you go over to Skype, and suddenly you have really this close connection. And that was how I started the page Palestine Loves Israel, because for me at that time I really felt this connection, and I felt obliged to open this page. So my page, Palestine Loves Israel, connects obviously Palestinians and Israelis, because the experience I had with Ronnie and Michal, I want other people to have. I want other Palestinians to get to know Israelis, because Palestinians are, of course, terrified by Israel. They, of course, have prejudices against Israelis, and vice versa. So this is like always this big thing that we don't know each other. So what happens when you get a friend from the other side? That's the big question. When you make a friend with someone who is supposed to be your enemy, you start to change, because at some point you get involved into their lives. And when something happens to them, you start to be concerned and you're worried about them. So when there's a war, for example in Gaza, you're stressed in Israel, because you have a friend there, and he's living in Gaza City or somewhere, and there are bombs falling in his neighborhood, and you don't know what's happening to them. And then you're involved. And then your whole perception changes. And when you are a Palestinian and have a friend in Tel Aviv, and you sit, let's say you're Palestinian and live in Ramallah, and you have a friend in Tel Aviv, and you read in the news or see in the television that there was an attack, a stabbing, or a bomb, a bus bomb in Tel Aviv, and your heart begins to throb, because what if your friend is involved? What this time somebody hit your friend, or somebody attacked your friend? So you start calling and you start writing on Facebook, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay with you? And that's exactly what we're creating. We create really emotional bonds between Israelis and Palestinians. So we have a lot of Palestinians now who are from Gaza on the page, and who never met an Israeli before in their life, because the average age in Gaza is about 17. And we will have questions later. The average age in Gaza is 17. So the only thing from Israelis that the Gazan people see is soldiers and it's bombs. And the news from the mostly Hamas television, which is biased, obviously. So the moment they really make a connection with somebody from Israel, they're suffering a huge shock. Because obviously the Israelis are not as they expected. So we had this guy from Gaza. He was 19 years old at the time, and he came to the page last year during the war in Gaza. And he was really full of mistrust and pain, obviously. And he started to ask the Israelis, why are you doing this to us? And within 1 hour, he had 50 friends from Israel on his Facebook page. And they were really embracing each other, and they're really becoming close friends. So Tamar from Gaza really changed his mind about the Israelis, because suddenly he met Israelis, and he talked with them on Facebook, on Skype, and his world changed, and his family changed, and all his friends changed and said, I want to have an Israeli friend too. So now we have changed the whole neighborhood inside Gaza. And the same happens in Israel. And that's the spirit of the Peace Factory. That's actually what we're trying to do. We make friendships. We are a friend machine, you can say. Yeah. So this is what the huge advantage of the social media is, and also the huge advantage of the internet as a whole. And we have the whole world on the tips of our fingers, and with just one click, we can friend somebody that is supposed to be our enemy. And with this, really create bondings, and we can create peace from the ground, because peace is nothing that happens when a war ends. Peace is a state of mind. And to create this state of mind, you have to change yourself. You have to change your perception. You have to change how you see the other side. Because the moment you have a friend on the other side, you realize suddenly, it's just happening, it happens automatically. But you realize that there is no other side. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We bring people together to create this bond that proves that we are all the same, that there is no barrier between us, because we are all humans and have the same desires. So that's it. And thanks for listening, and if anybody has questions, we can just question and answer.
You sit there and I will take
Thank you. All right.
I think we can see here that the concept works. Okay, I think I want to thank very much both of you, Juju and Ronnie, for coming here. And thank you guys for listening, and have a great day. Thank you.